Hi guys, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. In today's video, we are going to talk about a scandal that happened 4 years ago. Zoe Laverne Pemberton. Zoe Laverne, born on June 3rd, 2001. She is a social media influencer who gained popularity on TikTok. However, her career has been marred by several controversies, the most notable of which occurred in October 2020. But she is negatively famous to this day.
And then we realized that the ages were too different. Nothing happened between us besides kissing. And I'm saying that now, like, I'm really sick of people thinking that we did other stuff besides kiss. There's a video going around of people saying that it's me and Connor, and it's like of these like two people doing something like nasty, and that's not.
Zoe addressed the situation in an Instagram live video, explaining that she and Connor had become close friends and developed feelings for each other, but acknowledged that their age difference made the situation inappropriate. Recently, Connor Joyce, the victim. Connor is not underage anymore, so he spoke out in a YouTube video. Watch this.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to first start off by saying that I do apologize for how long it has taken me to make this video. I've been very busy with work, school, as well as just trying to actually process having to take the time to come back to revisit everything. This truthfully is a hard thing to talk about and to speak about just freely and publicly. But I do want to start off by saying that everything that I'm about to share in this video, I have shared online through TikTok. My videos just continuously keep getting taken down. So I thought it would be a wise idea to just kind of come forth and elaborate more in a YouTube video rather than just a TikTok. As well as my room is an actual mess, and it has been a mess, and still kind of is a mess, but I wanted to try to clean up some before I guess, made a video. So for starters, when I was about 12 years old, I was a very, very big fan of a popular TikTok influencer named Zoe Laverne. I had a fan page on Instagram. I was a very big fan, and I spent a lot of time just making dumb edits and trying to get her to, I guess, just notice me as a person. And eventually she did. We shared a lot of mutual friends through just simply like through fans that she would speak to. I would then start FaceTiming her, always in group calls, and slowly it just started sectoring off to more private calls. Now after this, as time has went on, she had a FaceTime call with me and told me that she had feelings for me. Now keep in mind, my birthday was coming up, and my mom wanted to see if she could come and surprise me for my birthday, because my mom knew how much I idolized this girl and thought it would make my birthday if she was there. So unfortunately she was not able to make it, but she did agree to come surprise me a few weeks later, which was directly after her and her ex-boyfriend Cody had broken up. The night that they broke up, she was in Tennessee with her friend Amber and Cody, and she had Amber drive her all the way to Pennsylvania, which then they were going to stay for a week. Now, knowing what I know, off the bat, there wasn't entirely a direct plan for her to seriously come here. It was kind of a spur of the moment, like, oh, me and my boyfriend just broke up. I'm going to come to Pennsylvania to see you. Now, deep down, I was, obviously taking reclamation of what she had said to me about liking me and having feelings for me. I thought to myself that I was only going to see her for a week. So at the end of the day, if something were to have happened, I would only have to see her for that week. And if I felt uncomfortable, I could freely choose to never speak to her again. So she ended up coming to Pennsylvania for just a week. So she had claimed, and then turned around and said, well, why don't we move here, because I'm fresh out of a relationship. Her friend Amber was fresh out of a relationship. They thought it would be a great idea to move here. Now, please bear with me, because again, this is kind of catastrophic, I guess, to just revisit, all of this stuff. But she had moved here and started slowly like sectoring me off, sectoring me away from my friends, my family, my brothers, like people I would naturally hang out with, which then my parents started having an alarm that something was not right here. Now, again, at the time, since I was a very big fan, I was very I was very caught up and excited over the fact that this girl was living here. Because of that, I think I just chose not to really focus on what was actually going on and what was actually happening, but instead I was just more so focusing on like, wow, this is crazy. I can't believe this is real. Things at this point had not progressed to a sincere level. Things were just pretty casual. Like, she would kiss me. Obviously, it was strange. Obviously, that's never excused, but nothing that I couldn't bear, nothing that made me entirely uncomfortable. Now, at the same time, she was battling a lot on the internet with being canceled, with being into drama, and this girl talked to me for months prior to actually coming and seeing me that I was like a number one defender for her. I would defend her, and every time that she got herself into things, I would get her out of things. A lot of the times that I would sit and think about this, I think part of the reason why I never thought too deep on it was because this girl was so childish that her immaturity level made me feel like I was hanging out with somebody my age. And so I've received a lot of backlash over the years simply for just people saying that I allowed it and that I'm at fault as well and this and that. But one thing that I want to emphasize on is that the older that you do get, you start to reflect back on these things and think, okay, well, this was not normal. This should not have happened. But more so, no matter how I mentally felt in the place, whether I felt that she was mentally around the same standpoint as me or not, that still doesn't change what her direct age was and what she knew. That's one thing that I really want to highlight on, is that she knew very much so well what she was doing. She would cry several nights and have fears that people would find out and would say, if people find out about this, I'm going to go to jail. And she still proceeded to continue to have a relationship with me. Now, in around July, I was at her house one day and she would engage in like sexual conversations with me through text that obviously in the time I felt kind of awkward. I didn't really directly know how to respond, that I kind of would entertain it back. But again, it came down to I never thought things would progress to this level. I always knew that this girl still had a career at the end of the day, and I never thought she would do anything serious to jeopardize that. I was at her house and we were just sitting there in her room, and she kind of just thrown herself on top of me and asked me, "Are you ready?" And I instantly knew exactly what she was referencing, and my heart was literally beating so fast, and I was like just kind of silent. She said straight to my face, "Oh, I can, like, are you sure you're okay? Like, your heart's beating really fast. Like, are you sure?" And I did say yes. At the end of the day, I did say yes. I'm not going to sit here and make allegations as though that she forced herself onto me, because that wasn't entirely the situation. But it still was very obvious that I was uncomfortable. It still was very obvious that I didn't want to. And more so, it still was very obvious that I just simply was not ready. At the end of the day, I was freshly 13 years old. I hadn't even had my first kiss yet. She was my first for everything, and she knew this. Even prior to developing something more, she had known that I was completely innocent and known that I hadn't been experiencing like that, which is why I think it is so selfish and just disgusting that she felt she should have been that person to take that from me. Now, I'm not going to make this a super long video. You guys can go into my TikTok to solemnly, you've heard this on my TikTok, so I'm not going to make this super long and go into a deep dive of exactly what entirely happened. This video was more so just to show you guys the proof that keeps getting taken down on my TikTok account. But one thing that I do want to dive deep into is simply how the whole thing unfolded and how it was treated after the fact was completely beyond me, but also beyond legal measures. I was questioned back in the timeline of whenever, this all first blew up on the internet. A lot of people were making anonymous calls to the police, and I obviously was questioned, which I did not really give a testimony. Questions that were asked to me that were simple, just yes and no answers, and some that I couldn't even speak for because I was so choked up and nervous because there were multiple police officers surrounding me, and I'm 13 years old. I had to bring my devices for them to be searched, and they had told me that they believed what I was saying and did not search my devices. Now, at the end of the day, again, I did not have some testimony of some whole story made up of, no, this didn't happen, here's why. I just shook my head no, and I replied with yes and no. They then documented that they had searched through my belongings and found no evidence of anything, no worries, no concerns, yet my devices were never not once touched that I can solemnly swear on. And so what's really weird about this entire situation and why I felt a lot more stuck in it is because her best friend Amber had quite literally just up and left her here. Now, Zoe did not have a license. She was in the state living with Amber. Anytime that we would go anywhere, Amber was the driver. Amber had the car. Amber was a driver. She had a license. Zoe did not have a license. Therefore, when Amber started to catch on and find out more about what Zoe was actively doing with me, she had a talk with both of us and said, more so to Zoe, if you continue to do this, like, I need to leave. I can't be in this situation. I'm disgusted. I'm uncomfortable. And now that I know that you slept with him, I can't, pursue this, whatever. Amber had left and went back to Indiana. And shortly after that, she did end up coming back to simply drive Zoe back home because she had realized Zoe was still persisting with things. Now, during this time, again, it made it a lot harder for me to feel distance from her because she was literally following me everywhere. She would not leave me be alone at really any times. I would go and hang out with my friends that were my own ages to the mall. We'd go shopping. We would do normal things that teenagers and kids do. And I would catch Zoe Ubering herself to there, just simply saying, "Hey, like, can I tag along?" Whatever. And it was really, really hard for me to feel like I would ever be able to escape her, considering she was in a whole different state, no car, no anything, and she did nothing but call me crying every time that I told her I wouldn't be able to come pick her up or would not be able to hang out with her. It was a very mentally taxing situation that I felt like I was in a constant loop, that I also knew she was dealing with a lot at the time from just getting out of a relationship. I was trying to be mentally supportive, that I didn't stop to actually think on what was weighing me down and how to physically get out of this situation. So now I am going to insert some of the proof that I do have of just simple things that, she's recorded messages between me and other people. And one thing I do want to clarify before I insert these is any of the numbers that are shown in these, everyone has had their numbers changed and they're no longer active. So I did see a lot of comments when I did post this on TikTok that I leaked numbers, but everyone's numbers were changed and these are not current active numbers. This video was her recording and zooming in on my private part.
As of now, you are single.
So here's her cracking up laughing directly after showing that video. And this is her pretty much throwing herself on top of me. And you can see that I'm trying to get up, and it just didn't really work out. This was a direct video that she herself had made. Like I always do, dancing through our house with the ghost of you, and I'll chase it down with the shot of truth, dancing through our house with the ghost of you.
Sound kind of stupid when you try to say Connor's dad because he can't even produce that type of sperm.
He's not old enough.
He's not old enough.
She was like, listen. Yeah, she was like, listen. If you want to learn a polygraph, all you gotta do is just read. Like when they ask you the question, think of the question as them asking, like, did you sleep with your dad? Then your heart won't fucking race. I was like, what the fuck? So I'm just scared that like Amber's gonna go live and try to say that Connor and I like. And then Cody was texting me saying that he has proof that we did and shit when he doesn't. Like nobody has proof of it because we did it in secret.
Why would Cody will have proof of that by?
This includes multiple TikToks she has made of her own personal account.
Yeah. I think your girl fell in love with me. I've got a big ego. I really don't know why. Big deal though.
With multiple chat logs of messages between me and her. This is her just laughing about the entire thing, saying, do y'all think prison has designer? I'm going to jail, etc. It's a true shame to see that you have zero remorse for what you've done. And I also do want to speak on the aftermath of it all, and all the things that I've had to face due to this happening to me was straight off the bat, just straight. Everybody that I went to school with was posting about me. I had friends of mine dropping me, calling me disgusting for allowing this to happen. I couldn't go anywhere without someone laughing at me, looking at me a weird way, calling me a name. I then went back to school and people would Photoshop mine and her faces onto porno videos and just very, very disgusting things. They would shout that I got R-worded throughout the halls at school. It was not a welcoming, it was not an accepting, and more specifically, it was not a great feeling at all. For years, I have posted online and I have shed light on the situation, maybe not more so entirely explaining what fully happened, but that's only because I did not even tell my own parents the full story to it until I was about almost 16 years old. Therefore, I didn't come out online and tell the truth and, fully elaborate on the story because I was afraid that, my parents would be upset with me only because in the very start of it, they were upset only because they questioned many times if something was happening and I was not the one telling the truth. I was lying to protect her, and also because I was worried for what would happen to her if she were to have been caught. So I have seen a lot of comments saying that they blame my parents and that this is my parents' fault and this and that. But I want to also make very clear and speak on that growing up, I did not have a lot of friends. I was bullied back in middle school. From middle school to now, I have not had a lot of friends consistent throughout my life. That my mom knew I idolized her and thought that when she started to talk to me and we started to hang out, that this was a positive thing. My mom has met her several times, looked at her as, like an older sister to me, not in a way that you casually wouldn't think that someone who has like a standing like this in life, like as in, you know what I mean, is very known, very popular, would do anything to risk that. And that's what she continuously told herself anytime she would have fear something was happening. I also want to emphasize this girl literally tried to hang out with me every single day. There was no stops in between, and that's when my parents started to question things getting weird because they thought, what business does a 19 and a 21-year-old have anything to do with hanging out with children every single day? There's a lot more to the story that I directly don't want to speak on, but I will speak on it solemnly for the fact that I've been being threatened and blackmailed to try to stay silent on it. One thing I do want to emphasize on as well is that Amber had left and gotten out of the situation once she had realized that it had gotten serious between me and Zoe, once she had realized that we had, done it. And she got herself out of the situation in fear that people were going to find out and that she would look bad for simply knowing about it and allowing it to happen. So I want you to think of this, that although, yeah, it's kind of a different age range, it's still the exact same age gap. I was 13, Zoe was 19, and my brother was 15, and Amber was 21. Now, obviously, in no way, shape, or form did Amber's situation evolve to what mine and Zoe's did, because of the fact that she did take a step back and realize, what am I doing? And she stopped it and she left him alone and tried to do the same to guide Zoe away from me. Now, I never really spoke on this solemnly because it's not my business, it's not my place, and more specifically, it did not happen to me with, their situation, which is why I never felt it was my place to speak on it. But the only reason why I do want to talk about it is because when I did try to seek legal justice afterwards, Amber had told me over and over again that she would testify for me and that she would talk for me and that she would elaborate and, contribute to my case. She, directly after she left here, instead of going to my mother and telling my mother what was actively happening, she texted Cody, which was Zoe's ex-boyfriend, and directly said in the message that Zoe had R-worded me. And that when I get older, I'm going to look back and quite literally say that I was R-worded. Now, these messages obviously got posted, and there were other messages of her directly speaking to Zoe during the time that, saying that it made her very uncomfortable to know that she had slept with me, and that telling Zoe she could serve mad jail time, and Amber could also go to jail for knowing about it and not doing anything. So my main frustration is solemnly that when I did try to seek legal justice, Amber told me she would testify for me, and then the second that they called her, she went radio silent. I was texting her, reaching out to her for a month and a half. She was not getting back to me. She was not answering. She only texted me when someone on the internet was speaking about her. Now, to this day, I've been kept in pretty good standing with Amber solemnly because she has watched me go through everything that I went through, and she knows nothing but the solemn truth. But what is very disheartening and disappointing to me is when someone knows entirely what happened because they witnessed it firsthand through living with her, through being her best friend, but more specifically through me speaking to her. And in a time that you should speak up and do the right thing, you didn't. What's worse to that is she would send me messages for years after the fact, apologizing and telling me she felt it was her fault for what I had to go through because she didn't step up and drag Zoe away. And so my questioning is simply, if you feel so bad and you feel that you fall at fault.
As you can see and hear, they did not just kiss, which is also not okay. But according to Zoe Laverne, they were just kissing, and it's not a big deal.
Even though I've done shitty things to you, I'm so obsessed with you. Like, I just love everything about you, and what I did to you was so fucked up, Cody. It wasn't right of me, and everybody knows that, and I get hate for it, and I deserve to get the hate. I deserve to get called a slut. I deserve to get called everything.
No, you don't. No one deserves that.
Even though I've done shitty things.
She is not just a child predator. She is also a cheater. During her relationship with fellow TikTok star Cody Orloff, fans speculated that Zoe had been unfaithful, which she initially denied. However, she later admitted to cheating on Cody via an Instagram post, apologizing for her actions and expressing regret for causing him pain. In her apology, Zoe wrote, "Cody, if you see this, I am
I'll
so
leave his ad
sorry
in the
for
caption.
putting you through
Now, although I
pain
have so
and
much to
making you
say,
cry.
especially
I
since
never
a
meant to
couple
hurt
of
you
things
ever.
even caught
I
me
was just
off guard
selfish
in
and was
Connor's
thinking about
video,
myself.
this video is
This
not
public
about
admission and apology were significant, as they confirmed the rumors that had been circulating among their fans. She is not just a predator and a cheater, she is also an animal abuser. How many hobbies can a human have? In July 2020, TikTok star Zoe Laverne faced allegations of animal abuse after a video surfaced showing her tossing her cat into the air. Laverne addressed these accusations during an Instagram live session, explaining that her kitten enjoyed being thrown up and that she would never harm her pet. She emphasized that all cats land on their feet and that the claims were unfounded.
And last but not least, she has faced racist allegations.
So don't come to me and call me names and call me racist and shit when I am all for BLM. Just because my family, or just because like my family is all for a different thing than me and is all for like the president and stuff, that has nothing to do with me. That doesn't mean I am. I'm my own person. I'm 19. I didn't even vote this year. So I don't know why I get called all these names and because of who my boyfriend supports, etc. Just because they support it doesn't mean I support it. And it's everybody has their own opinion. You can't hate on someone for liking someone else. You just have to learn to deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't sit there and bash someone for their likings. Like, that's just pathetic. You don't know these people that you're hating on. You only claim to know them because they're like, you know them off of social media. But have you ever met me? Have you ever had a conversation with me? Have you ever got to know me? No.
Zoe Laverne, the queen of controversy, seems to have a talent for making headlines for all the wrong reasons. From kissing underage fans to tossing her cat like a frisbee, Zoe's antics have kept her in the spotlight, but not exactly in a good way. It's almost as if she's trying to collect scandals like they're Pokemon cards. And let's not forget the cheating scandal and the racist remarks, because why stop at just one controversy when you can have a whole collection? Okay guys, that was it for today. I hope you liked it and remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications for upcoming videos. Bye.